angry guy here, and women are hitting the wall and immediately regretting feminism. Women are hitting the wall and immediately regretting feminism. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
My story is not unique. I left a marriage after 15 years. I had 3 kids with the man. I had built a life with him, and I really wanted it to work. Deciding when it was time to leave, deciding that I had tried hard enough, deciding that yes, it was worth to take the risk of the unknown for leaving the known, which I had become very accustomed to over the last 15 years. And even though I was miserable, there was some security to it. There was a little bit of, at least I was comfortable in knowing what to expect. As the years would roll by and every birthday I got the same card that said next year will be better, I somewhere deep inside thought to myself, there's no way. And the only way that my life is going to change is if I leave. But I had 3 kids. And I was also thinking, wait, if my happiness means that I'm taking away the kids' happiness, and all of the guilt that came into play of, am I being so selfish that I want to leave this? And is it bad enough? But here's the kicker. The kicker is that if you are in a place where you are absolutely miserable, you're being treated horribly, or whatever your circumstances are, but you know in your heart that the only way to change your life is to leave, let me tell you that you will carry guilt with you, that it will be extremely difficult. And when you are looking for people who you're like, okay, well, she left and look how her life turned out, and you're looking for examples, and your mind is researching for the evidence that you're going to be okay, I'm going to tell you that no matter what it is that's the unknown that's on the other side, if you are in a situation right now where years are passing by and you are still miserable in a relationship.
So this woman is having a hard time accepting reality, and she's doing extraordinary mental gymnastics to deviate away from the fact that she spoiled a relationship that was absolutely incredible. She got bored in her relationship. She thought that was something more was out there for her. And now she's single. She does not have anyone else. She has a bunch of children. The guy has moved on with his life, and she's trying to tell other women that what she did was okay and they should consider doing it for a variety of different reasons, because even though it may not seem like it's the good thing to do in the present moment, in the future they'll be surely happy with that decision. But notice she still hasn't even come to that point yet in the video, because she's working through the mental gymnastics. She is creating this video not just for other women but for herself, because she's trying to get herself to actually believe that she did the right thing, throwing away a good relationship with a good man who was providing, protecting, and loyal to her.
Relationship, and you're not being taken care of, and you're not being seen, and you're not being heard, and you're just being alone in a marriage. The unknown is terrifying, but there's nothing more terrifying than looking back and seeing all the years that you wasted living in fear.
So there are some crucial things that people don't talk about after you go through a divorce. The fact that the quietness and the emptiness in your home when you don't have your spouse or your children is deafening. You have to really get comfortable with being alone, and it's very uncomfortable. You quickly realize that you are now the center stage of all conversation in your friend group, because you're now living this wild and fun life because you're no longer attached to anybody. And I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of my time crying and eating pizza and drinking wine in the bathtub. Being single is glamorized in today's society, and people are saying, yes, good for being single, and you should really, really just enjoy it. It's so freeing. When really you lost your purpose because you've been supporting this person for X amount of years and supporting their aspirations and their goals and their dreams and their desires, and you lost yourself along the way. So now it's beautiful. You get to find yourself, but it's hard to sit in that and be like, oh, who the f am I? So maybe be a little bit more gentle on the single people in your life.
It's so funny because notice that she's there crying about everything that she's lost in the relationship that's now gone, and how she's experiencing singlehood and the loneliness that comes with singlehood. But then, of course, she throws a sharp one at the fact that, she left this relationship, but she's not to blame for it, because she basically, put her life, based her life around someone else, and now she has nothing else. Like, bro, you had everything. You had a relationship, you had children, you had a family, and you left it. You chose to leave it. You walked away from it, and now you are alone, and you're saying that the reason why you're unhappy is because you didn't go out there and build a career that was strong enough to sustain you. So now that you don't have your family anymore, you have nothing. So ladies, forget, always make sure you prioritize your career first, because careers, they can last a lifetime, but family comes and goes. Like what kind of uh, just terrible advice is this? But let's jump to the next video.
Just this horrible realization. I have spent most of my days figuring out how I can become physically, mentally, financially, spiritually healthy enough to be able to afford and take care of a child. And not only have I taken that time, but I've done the math, and it does not work out. I am not young enough, or fertile enough, or financial. At 36, like, I'm sorry, like, you're gonna say, like, you have time, like, I don't. Because I can't spend another minute of my life trying to make something work when I'm just fighting upstream. I don't have a support system. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources or the community. And it just kills me. It kills me that I had embryos with my ex-husband that were viable, and they're just gone now. And my future with those children and my life, it's not just that it's gone, it's the fact that it was decided for me by so many other people and factors. And that's what kills me, because it was not my choice. And I'm angry. And I'm heartbroken.
I just love it. She says, it was not my choice. There were other factors and was decided for me. In other words, she's blaming feminism. She's saying feminism is to blame. It was decided for me by the feminists. I didn't have any choice in the matter. They told me that I should have left. I needed to leave this marriage because I was not happy. And now I have nothing left. And I could have had children using the genetic material of my ex, and now that's gone as well because I decided to walk away from that relationship. And and I'm not to blame. The world is to blame, the feminists are to blame, society is to blame, men are to blame, but I am not to blame. But I am in complete misery because of this. Guys, they are, look at this. you know this is what happens when the wall arrives. And they're suddenly like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And I can't live with it. And I also can't take responsibility for it. So I'm just going to hop on TikTok and make a video basically saying why, everyone else is to blame for my poor decisions, especially the feminists and the men.
About that hitting the wall phrase.
I think it's an accurate depiction of a natural phenomenon. I think that women do reach a certain point in their life where their value, when I say value, I mean value in the eyes of men specifically, does decrease when they reach a certain age. Of men want a woman that hasn't had a lot of life experience because they want to build that life with you.
Guys, they made this decision for themselves, and now they have to live with the repercussions of their actions.
Having like all the feels right now. I mean, my birthday's in about a week, so I can relate to them so much. This is my story right here. I spent my 30s in a relationship with a man that I was very much in love with and expected to marry and have a kid with. And when I was 38, he left me for a 20-year-old. And it was so funny because at the time, I was amazingly optimistic. I really believed that my horrific experience in romantic relationships was like statistically likely to take a turn for the better, and that I was going to meet someone and I was going to be able to have a baby right under the wire. But that did not happen, not even by a long shot. And in fact, the experiences that I had with dating were just as bad, and in one case worse, to the point where I've now opted out of dating altogether because I don't feel that it is good for my mental. Close to the end of the perimenopause phase, and there's a lot of intense emotions that I feel about this. In some ways, I'm okay with it. I have taken care of children my whole life, and there's a part of me that's like, great, now it's my turn. But there's another part of me that is immensely sad. I even knew what I was going to name my child. Like, I've thought about her for decades, and it really pains me to know that I will never know her. But I think the hardest part of this is that it comes with so much fucking shame. Not because of us. Like, we don't do this to ourselves. It is all from out there. Our society is so judgmental of women who didn't get married and don't have kids. And I hear it on a daily basis every single time I get on social media. I hear it from my own nieces who ask me sometimes, I don't understand why you're a woman if you didn't have children. They're 7 and 9. Where did they learn that kind of... The shame is everywhere. And I wish I could say it gets easier, but it does not. But I will say that I am getting better at taking care of myself and protecting my journey and loving it and learning to accept it. Ultimately, it is nobody's business. And what's truly shameful is that it's so socially acceptable to shame people who are already grieving and in pain. So do everything you can to tell the shame to F off.
So it's so interesting. You know, women basically think that they're when they get older they have the same options as men, and they're going to go and find someone, and they're gonna I see things like, oh, you can have a kid in your 40s. Oh, you can have a kid all the way at 45. I know this woman had a kid at 46, right? And they tell each other these things, but it doesn't end up working out for them. But of course, what does she do right here? She immediately then goes and throws some shade. She throws shade immediately after that. It's so crazy because I see comments from a lot of Gen X guys have been saying for months that, hey, a lot of these Gen X women, the roosters are coming home to crow now, and they don't want to take any accountability for it. These were the chicks back in the 90s, man. These were the girls in the clubs back in the 90s. I mean, this white girl is that white girl that was in the clubs in the 90s, having her fun. And now look at her 20 years later. Where has that left her? Where has feminism put her? It hasn't done anything for her. She's 47 years old now, going on 48. It's been almost 30 years. And what did she do with that time? She threw it away. Why did this dude leave you? And then you thought that you were gonna go and rebuild your life, go out and focus on a career. She prioritized a career at 38 years old. She prioritized a career and thought that life was just gonna come together and everything was just gonna work out and she would be a-okay. I mean, really, using your head. If you're down to the wire and you really want to take that shot, all right, you really need to focus on doing everything you can possibly do to succeed, because the buzzer is already you're already running out of time. The time clock is not your friend. You don't have time. But what do? You decide to prioritize your career like you're a 20 something and say that everything is going to work out, and then you discover that, yeah, it doesn't. I'm out of time. I'm almost out of the perimenopause phase, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to be single, childless, and alone for going forward, and that's how it's going to be. But what you're going to do? You're going to throw shade? Come on, bro. Come on.
I left a marriage after 15 years. I had 3 kids with the man. I had built a life with him, and I really wanted it to work.
Guys, like I said, so many of these women today, they're making excuses. They're making excuses for the poor decisions that they made because they don't want to own up to the mistakes that they made. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying my content, please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, never miss another video again. And like the video because it tells YouTube you're enjoying the content, you want to see more of it, so YouTube will show you more of it. What do you guys think regarding this? Women are hitting the wall and immediately regretting feminism. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA. And walking away. And cheers.